With over 15 years of experience offering technical solutions across the world, Dr. Ngole is here, and it's Silicon Mountain Day. Thanks for coming on.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Silicon Mountain, all the way from England for this.
Absolutely.
Is it that big a deal?
It is worth it.
Yeah. What do you think of our generation getting more involved into technology?
It is very important because no country can develop nowadays without technology. And technology needs to be absorbed into a culture like ours. I've seen it happening elsewhere. So what I see here, the younger generation getting into technology, this is the foundation. This is the foundation that we need. And I'm happy that it's actually happening here in Goya.
Yeah, you've been here since morning, right, during the conference. How do you appreciate the activities that have been going on so far?
Pretty much, I think the organization is fantastic. There's been, how do you call them, the ushers have been wonderful. The presenter was wonderful. She animated the place. It wasn't just technical. And the presentations were fantastic. They were mind-blowing. So to me, it's 100% I would give them.
And the turnout as well,
The turnout is wonderful. I didn't know that people have such an interest around in this community in technology. It's wonderful. And it's really good to see people coming all the way from Douala, from Yaoundé, to attend the Silicon Mountain conference here in Goya. It's fantastic.
What do you think about the organizer?
The organizers these are guys whom I've met.
Yeah.
I met them more like accidentally. I met them when I came for a private visit. I've actually heard about them when there was a video clip that was shared with me, put together by the BBC here. So it was circulated in the UK, and then it was forwarded to me by a friend. So I went through it and I was taken aback as to what is going on here. So incidentally, I was visiting Cameroon within a few weeks, and then I traveled here, and then I had the opportunity, I was privileged to be given a tour of startups here in Goya. So many of them, I know them. They talk to me about the Silicon Mountain conference that is upcoming today, June the 18th. Then I said, well, I'm not sure because I've taken time off work for long. So coming for a private visit, whether or not I can take a bit more time out to come here for the conference is a different question. But I'm glad that I was able to negotiate at my place of work to be here today.
For somebody who's been into technology for this much time, right? I'd like you to explain to me your project, Inspire Africa. What's all that about?
Yes.
Inspire Cameroon.
It is Inspire Cameroon, yes. Inspire Cameroon. A group of us in the UK came together because we wanted to share our experiences. Many of us have traveled the world providing knowledge and skills in different countries across the world, mainly technical. So we thought, and we've seen how some countries have been able to transition from being developing or poorer countries, even like Cameroon, but we're able to make that transition to being high-tech nations today. So we thought maybe, so it's doable. So we too can come back here because we've been, like I said, across the world, actually teaching people and sharing knowledge with them. So why can't we too come back here and do the same? And therefore, that is how Inspire Cameroon was born, believing that we can pool our resources together intellectually and even financially to support the development of technology here in Cameroon.
A lot of the startups here complain about the lack of resources and the lack of finances. How important is huge finance relevant to a startup in such a field, in the technical field?
Finance is very, very important, but first of all, the talent is more important. You need to first of all demonstrate the talent, and also after the talent, you need to know how to manage it. So today when I was speaking, I said one of the threats that run around tech platforms or organizations is that there needs to be, first of all, an appetite or a drive to play with new technology. Then added to that, you need to have the astute management. I mean, the ability to management that encompasses even the ability to finance projects, to finance innovation, and to be able to manage it. So all of that. But the third one, fundamentally where I come from is, and that I want to introduce here, is the higher degree of technology, of engineering particularly. So there needs to be that engineering mindset grown within our community. I know that software developers who are here now currently, they develop software and they would have studied some element of engineering. Many have studied computer science, but that is not engineering. But all of that come together, we can package it. There is, for example, a department for engineering here at UB, University of Boya, and I know that the neighboring Catholic University, they do a lot of work or studies in entrepreneurship. So what we want to do is, we believe that this is an opportunity to marry engineering and entrepreneurial skills to kind of fuel or power the growth of Silicon Mountain here in the West. So yes, going back to your question, money is very important, but we need the talent first of all. And that talent needs to come together in a way that it can be managed in an astute way, put together in a structured way, and then they can then attract attention. That attracting attention now, people may have money, it may not be huge money initially, but people will be so excited that they want to invest, and then big money will come. So it's a kind of, it can be, the slope can be steep, but oftentimes it's lower. But we can meet it. I believe we can do that here in Ghana.
Based on my understanding of Inspire Cameroon in general, the major influence should be the diasporan influence on our community, on the Cameroonian society, to build them up in terms of development. But I'm a bit concerned. Sometimes I feel like diasporans don't have a real picture of what is happening in here. How do you think you can influence, development in our country without being sure to at least 95% of the reality of, Cameroon?
No, that is a very pertinent question and an issue that needs to be addressed. I think many of my friends whom I share various platforms with, Cameroonians, in the UK particularly and elsewhere, I think they are very much aware that the people sing this song of somewhat of a disconnect between the diaspora and perhaps the reality on the ground. But they also are aware that this is false to a lot of people. Many people, for example, I'm here now. When I arrived here this morning, I actually met another friend of mine here attending this conference. I introduced him to this idea that this conference will be holding here. He came here on a private visit, but he took time out to actually attend the event.
Part of
So yes, there may be that mindset going around, but I think there's an element of mistrust, and that needs to be broken. I think people may bear that kind of conception, but that may not necessarily be true. From my vantage point, and the many people whom I know, that is not true. I think the diaspora is actually seeking, first of all, they appreciate the fact that there is talent on the ground. I think what the diaspora wants is, they believe that they can add value. And I believe very strongly that people on the ground also know that the diaspora can add value to what they do. So it's a matter of synergizing, people coming together and breaking that cycle of mistrust that is between us. So it's just an illusion. That's where I look at it.
I've not heard you talk about the government influence when it comes to Inspire Cameroon. Do you think, to an extent, that will have a role to play? The government will have a role to play in you building this project up?
Oh, definitely. I think in whatever initiative that you embark on, the policy environment is very, very important. So there's no doubt that the sovereign government will have an influence as to the kind of impact that Inspire Cameroon can have on the ground. There's no doubt whatsoever. I cited the fact that I have been, and many of us have worked in many, many countries. I've worked in virtually every continent on earth. I've been to many countries in technology centers. And there, when people do open up to you, when you go into communities like I've been to Asia more recently, and then they open up to you as to how they have been able to make it in terms of the structures that they have, the programs that they have in place, that has enabled them to make that transition from being developing countries to being high-tech nations. And they tell you that the policy environment is very, very important. The government always would have a very clear vision as to where they want to take the country, be it in Singapore, in South Korea, in Taiwan. The government had a very clear vision, and what they did was they were able to pool resources not just internally but also from the diaspora. All of them did. They know that they had talent overseas, and therefore they sought those talent to return to come and help them. And the talent clearly obliged. They came back, and councils were formed. There is uniformity. Obviously, some of these pursuits are customized locally, but you can see that there is an underlying trend how these countries were able to set up these structures that enabled them to leapfrog from where they were to where they are now. So yes, in a nutshell, the policy environment is absolutely important, very fundamental.
There's another issue that I'm going to bring to your attention, which you might have probably noticed or come across. We're complaining about lack of jobs in Cameroon, fair enough. But then you said if you've got the talent, that's the first basis to go by before in the finances. We have an issue of lack of professional ethics out here. We have these young people who might be really willing to work, but they're not committed enough.
Right.
And then our environment doesn't give us the professional ethics that exist in other countries. If you were faced with a situation where you had, passionate, young, talented guys who lack that amount of professional ethics that you need, how would you engage? Is it trainings that help them get through, things like that?
I think one of the focus of Inspire Cameroon is to, obviously we want to look at what has worked elsewhere, but we are not going to bring exactly, just because it worked somewhere, we don't believe that it will work here. So we customize it to our local situation. But things that have worked elsewhere that I believe, looking at human nature, that they would work here as well. I cite the example of Britain, for example. Britain during the Industrial Revolution and even in recent years, they have a program of internship or apprenticeship. That's what they call it. An apprenticeship, I remember when I was studying at the university, whenever I went to the lab, then there was a lab assistant, an old man who was always in a white coat helping us out. And he will come to me and he will tell me, and lots of others say, don't worry, if you made a mistake and maybe you were panicking, don't worry. He say, I'm telling you, this country grew out of trial and error. They say you learn how to make mistakes. It's very important that you make mistakes. You learn from your mistakes. He say, what I don't like is that sometimes when people make mistakes, they bang on you that you've made a mistake. So, no, that is not good. So we must bring in that culture of gentleness. We know that there's talent. They make a mistake, so don't worry. You actually learn from your mistakes. So those are the kinds of experiences, ideas. It's going to be a mindset change that we have to bring in. Understand that people believe that yes, maybe some of our young people may be irresponsible, they may not come to work on time or do certain things. But I think through talking, through dialogue, you can actually change people overnight. Or it may not even happen overnight, maybe over time. But trial and error is one thing that we need to be aware. That is very, very important. That when people make mistakes, don't really take a stick and hit them and say, no, oh, you've destroyed this thing. It's cost me £10,000 or what I mean in France. What have you done? So we need to rise above that. See how we can be gentle and tell, okay, you made a mistake. But as long as you're learning from that mistake, that is good. The next time you see them improving gradually.
For having traveled across the world, so many different countries, different cultures, different experiences, what will be an IT miracle for you in Cameroon, let's say next year?
An IT miracle next year. I think for, in a nutshell, if I were to answer you quickly, would be maybe any technology that can be developed here locally that can have an impact on development, transforming mindsets across a nation, be it in healthcare or even farming perhaps, transforming our produce, or maybe just in biotechnology, how can we make food available, especially in sanitation as well. I like that because I know that one thing that I believe in is that Africans, we need to, especially here, we need to take sanitation very seriously. And also a mindset change on another thing that is close to my heart. Here, the culture of maintenance, we do not have it. I just feel that, sometimes we build some very good structures, but we don't look after them.
We don't take care of them.
They look brilliant, they glitter when they are made and everyone likes them. But over time, you see them deteriorate and you say, but what happened? Because we do not have a culture of maintenance. So, in a nutshell, any technology whatsoever, because technology has that power to transform communities. Any technology that can transform, the way we live, especially here in the third world. To me, that's what I want to see. And I'm sure there are many such opportunities. We're here to support.
So we've talked about work. Now it's time for fun.
Oh, indeed.
Okay, did you go clubbing while you were here?
No.
Oh,
didn't have time for clubbing, no.
Oh, no.
I mean, I think when it comes to clubbing, I'm a dinosaur.
Seriously?
Well, I'm very good clubbing, but obviously haven't been out of the country for a long time. I'm sure I haven't had such an opportunity to go out when I come here. Usually when I'm here, I'm engaged with a lot of things in the community.
Yeah.
To the extent that by the time in the evening, I'm exhausted. So that is always good. I think taking clubbing out of the equation, I go out socializing with friends, go out and have a drink and chill and talk things, that matter. Things that are fun, things that...
Do you get to catch up with old friends around here when you come?
Yeah, absolutely. I catch up with old friends. I see friends here. I was here about just over a month ago, and there was a funeral service here in Ngole. And I met guys there whom I haven't seen for donkeys years. People coming to greet me. They say, "Who are you?" I say, "Oh, Ngole," because I was a senior prefect when I was at school, and therefore many more people know me than I know. And therefore people come to me and say, "Ngole," and I said, I feel embarrassed. I say, "Oh, who are you? How you doing?"
Yeah.
First of all, salute them, I see if I know them, and then I ask, "But who are you?"
Yeah.
And then we'll get to know each other. So yes, I do catch up with a lot of friends, bump into people, and we catch up in lots of different ways. Yes.
As compared to so many years ago, obviously, where African foods were really scarce in Europe, fair enough. I know it's more available now, but when you come back, what is it you look forward? What meal is it you look forward to absolutely having immediately you get here?
I'm a Bakosi man like called Isuba and Zabangem. I want to eat they make me a bowl of fufu, and then they make me that country soup. Zabangem, black soup.
Yeah.
And then with a pudding that they make out of dried plantains. They make some pudding out of it with fish and all that. Poo fish, that's it. Oh my goodness. So when I'm here and I have that, I'm comfortable.
Can you cook?
I do my best.
Do you cook? Okay, what can you cook?
I can cook fried rice. I can cook fried rice. Because it's quicker, you see. As an engineer, you don't have time to cook proper food.
I thought you say some kwakukambanga soup. I thought you say kwakukambanga soup or arrow, at least. Rice is...
I love arrow.
Rice is basic.
I know it's basic, but it's also quicker. When you're a busy man, rice is quick.
Perfect excuse.
It's not a perfect excuse, but I do spend time occasionally when I'm at home with family. Then I cook. I can make very good breakfast. My children know that I make very good breakfast. Serve and say, "Okay, come and eat," and but that's all I can do.
A word of encouragement before I let you go. A word of encouragement to our young, I'll say, geeks coming up.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. There's no doubt about it. Cameroon is very blessed, and I think even our geographical position in Africa, I believe where we're positioned, I still strongly believe that a lot of things can come out of Cameroon that can impact the rest of Africa. I believe so very strongly. So the geeks that I see here, what they do, developing some innovative stuff, it's fantastic. This is what we need. I can assure you, like I said, you reminded me now, I've been across the world. Technology has that, even when you read economic books, as part of my job, being also a manager, I had to take on the those studies, as an aside, part-time, to learn financial things and all that, as part of my work.
Yeah.
Through that you learn economics deeper, and economic theory, modern one, is very clear. Technology has to be fundamental. It's a very simple equation that technology is right there.
Yeah.
Once you do not have technology, you cannot move forward. Obviously, right now, our community, is emerging in terms of the talent emerging and the geeks that are coming up and doing great things. But we are predominantly more of still a consuming rather than a producing nation,
Yes, we are.
especially when it comes to technology. Therefore, it's that kind of transition that we need to make. And I strongly believe that the geeks that are emerging now, they can do it. They can do it. And I believe that is just a matter of time. So all hands on deck, we can do it.
Definitely. Okay. Do you do social media?
I do social media.
Okay, so for those of us who are interested in keeping in touch with you and of course discovering more about the Inspire Cameroon project, how do we get in touch?
You get in touch by going to our website www.inspirecameroon.org. So you'll get all the information, telephone numbers, Twitter account, Facebook, email, everything is there.
Thank you for honoring this invite, and I'm definitely looking forward to how Inspire Cameroon helps boost, the economy.
It's my absolute pleasure. I think the economy of Cameroon needs technology to be boosted, to boost the economy.
Yeah.
And I believe that as Inspire Cameroon particularly is going to play a fundamental role to support that uptake of technology here in Cameroon.
Thank you.